السلام عليكم أعزائي طلبة المرحلة الثالثة قسم الترجمة في محاضرة جديدة ضمن منهج البحث. Today's lecture is about what is plagiarism. Plagiarism is regarded one of the important, dangerous, critical, let us say, actions done by researchers in order to complete their works. And we have to understand what is meant by this term and what are these types of plagiarism and how can we avoid it. Outline of the lecture. Today we're going to study definition of plagiarism, two types of plagiarism, whether they are intentional or unintentional, misconception about the plagiarism, how to strengthen your research credibility, and avoiding plagiarism. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism means using others' work without credit, using the writings of others, the ideas of others, concepts of others without credit, without mentioning their names, without documenting their names. Credit here academically and writing research means we are not going to write down the name of the writer, of the author, the year, the page number, etc. of details, whether through direct copying or failure to cite source probably. So either we are going to plagiarize by direct copying, direct copy paste process without mentioning the names and the other details of the work, or by failure to cite sources probably. It means that we cite these references, but unfortunately we are not in a correct way. We cite them not in a correct way. So we are going to classify in plagiarism into two types: intentional versus unintentional plagiarism. Intentional means that you are going, which is the most dangerous one, means that copying friends' works without permission or stealing. So plagiarism here in the sense of stealing. Okay, buying or borrowing papers. You are going to buy papers, others work for you, write for you papers, academic papers, and you are going to pay for them, and they is going to be yours. Cutting and pasting text from sources without giving credits, without giving details. Borrowing medias without giving credits. Taking medias, taking films, taking, for example, images, taking pictures without giving reference to these. And publishing on the web without the permission of the original creators. Also, this is another problem. Unintentional means that the opposite. You are going to use the minimal, or you are using the minimal, or you are or careless paraphrasing. You paraphrase, but unfortunately your paraphrasing is what has not been done in the correct way. You unable, because your language, because of your ability to paraphrase is not good, you are going to use a minimum number of words without paying attention to the whole process. Or failing to document or cite probably. You cite the reference, but unfortunately forget to cite the page number or the year correctly. Quoting excessively, you are going to quote one after another. Also, this is regarded an intentional plagiarism because we are not going to hear your voice here. Failing to use your own voice, see, you are not going to present your own ideas, and instead you are going to use the ideas and the voice of the original writer without giving correct or proper citation of that. Okay, what are the penalties behind stealing, using the works of others without permission? Of course, penalties for plagiarism can range from failing assignments. Your teacher will dismiss, let us say, will not accept your work, or if the work is more dangerous, we are going to dismiss or to expulsion. Here, you should know that Minister of Higher Education and Work has its own regularities for what? For arranging this process. More than one, let us say, administrative order appeared or issued in order to prevent, to avoid students from what? From stealing, from looking for plagiarism. So we have log rates. Your teacher will give you either 0 or log rates because there are instances of plagiarism, or failed in exams. Since if the assignments is regarded one of the exams, will be dismissed, it will be failed, or going to have legal actions. Usually Minister of Education or even your college or department will look for legal actions in order to prevent and to stop others from stealing other works or from following plagiarism. Students usually they have their own misconceptions about the process of plagiarism. They say that, assuming that direct quotation needs citation, some believe that since I'm going to use even short number of words from the original work, there is no need to cite it. No, this is not the correct way. Or failing to identify the source of each person because in their notes and they are unorganized or following one of the strategies, one of the techniques for writing notes correctly. You see that their notes were unorganized, and therefore they failed to identify the source of these notes. And they're saying that no one will pay attention for that. They forget that now we have more than one technique, one more than a checker program or software that can help us, like turn-in software that help us to to find out and to discover instances of plagiarism. So be careful here that if it is an instance of misconception in your mind, it is not in your teacher's mind. So how to avoid the plagiarism in academic writing? We are going to classify this work or avoiding plagiarism into two steps. In your notes and in your research project. So in your notes, this is a call for you to organize your notes and to train yourself to use correct procedures for writing down or citing down notes. Number one, enclose every direct quotation in quotation marks. Since you are quoting, you are taking notes directly from a definition, a statement, an example from a book, try to put this in what? In quotation marks. Put them in what? In quotation marks. Label each note as a quotation, paraphrase, or summary. Then, if you are going to work on these notes, try to classify your notes into whether they are direct quotation or these are instances of paraphrasing, or these are instances of what? Of summarization. We are going to talk about these two topics, paraphrasing and summarizing, in another lectures. Identify the source. Include page number, author's name, year for each note. Even you paraphrase, even you summarize, because you don't know. Maybe what is summarized going to be paraphrased and vice versa. Compare paraphrases or summarizes with the original for accuracy. When we paraphrase, when we summarize, we should have in our mind that there should be a kind of coincidence, a kind of harmony between what you have done in your notes and the original work. Yes, you have the right to summarize, you have the right way to paraphrase, but this is not on the content of the original work. So try to keep and to compare what you have done in your notes with the original text for accuracy. Keep notes separated from drafts to avoid confusion or using different fonts. Try, when you work hard on your notes and you wanted to what? To rephrase them or to rewrite them, try either to omit, delete the first draft and to write a new draft, or since we are now able to use words in your Microsoft Word program, and you can arrange them in your own. Delete the first one and try to focus on the recent version of your notes in order to avoid confusion, or to use different fonts. See, if you want to compare to see how much you have developed the idea based on paraphrasing or summarizing, you can use different fonts for that process, for that action. In your research project, before you submit your project to your supervisor and then to the department for discussion, use quotation marks for direct quotes from notes. Yeah, we focus on what, we insist on what, use quotation marks for what? For each direct quotation, even for summarizing, for paraphrasing. But here you'll see, and you'll be given lectures on how to use years, page numbers for these three techniques: paraphrasing, summarizing, and using quotations. So it is important to use quotation marks. Since we are going to use quotation marks, double quotation marks, we are going to use page number, year of the publishing. For longer quotes, format a block quotation. Also, this is a very important technique, that if we have more than 30 or 40 words, depending on the citation style given by your teacher and by your supervisor, we are going to use a block quotation. Block quotation means that we are going to use certain paragraph as a whole and put it in the middle of the page with a space of, with margins from the left and from the right. Immediately add source citation to avoid forgetting. Directly, again, since you use quotation marks, directly give what? The page number and the year. Cite the source for any information that may not be common knowledge. Even you may feel that this is an instance of common knowledge. No. You have to cite down the page number, and you have to write down what the year and the name of the author.